Aloha guys, good morning. Welcome back to my channel, Mermaid Nina here. And yes, I am still on location at my resort, Port Orleans Riverside. Yes, that is a Disney resort. It's actually a Disney moderate. But today we are off to Epcot. This is our second Epcot day of our trip. Plus, I actually have a special surprise for my family later on this afternoon. So let's check it out, guys. Epcot, here we go. We are here inside the Land Pavilion, and I just surprised my family. We are doing behind the scenes tour. It is a tour that anybody can do. It was roughly about $30-something per person. It's an hour long. My kids have always wanted to do it. We're gonna get a further knowledge base about living with the land, the ride Living with the Land. So all about growing plants and sustainability and how they do all the behind the scenes stuff is what this tour is about. So come along guys as we explore living with the land through the behind the scenes access tour. Let's go.
Has anybody ever been on the Living with the Land attraction before?
Yay!
Super exciting.
Looks like we're going in a greenhouse.
Not too bad of a day. Not too
We're going to explore pests, is what they just said.
Wonderful. All right, everybody. Well, welcome to our IPM lab, or Integrated Pest Management. What we mean by integrated pest management is we are integrating a variety of different methods or controls to manage pest populations. Here is a very common pest in the southeast. These are leaf miner flies. Now they tried a bunch of different methods to combat them, but actually the best way to combat the leaf miner flies is by using a biological control or another organism to control the pest population. Some of us might be familiar with ladybugs. What do ladybugs do? They eat aphids, so people will actually release ladybugs into their gardens.
Genetically modified.
Genetically
They're hard to see, but there's
Some
some wasps in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really tiny. Oh wait, there we go.
Now this is the female. What she is doing is she is making a small incision or cut in the top
Very
of the
small,
leaf,
hard to see.
laying her egg inside of the leaf's tissue, and then the leaf miner fly larva. Her egg will then hatch inside of the larva and then begin to eat the larva from the inside out. Hence the name parasite. Yeah, some people are also familiar with the wasps that they release onto cornfields.
Are they all?
Do all of them inject?
Right.
Like, is it all successful?
Right.
Think about humans. Are all of our pregnancies successful?
Of course not.
No.
Yeah.
So same idea. I mean, it's a pretty high percentage that we've got. I mean, it does fluctuate. Going to pass around is a whisper unit. Right now, it's probably pretty easy to hear me. When we get into the greenhouse, that doesn't catch your ear, the whole thing falls. So if you have the neck strap on, it kind of helps not do that. So yeah, I'll have it turned on for you. Test to make sure you Department of Agriculture on a variety of different projects. One of the projects in the window is we are working on techniques for growing tomato plants, figuring out the types of air, figuring out the types of soil. So it's been a very interesting project that there'll be more to come. Why would we be giving plants red and blue lights? Yeah?
Ultraviolet light.
It's the wavelengths that they're using, right? So the light that we're getting from the sun is white light. White light is all the wavelengths mixed together. What plants are actually absorbing is the red and the blue wavelengths. Now if you look at the light spectrum, red has some of the least amount of energy, blue has some of the most amount of energy. So what plants are doing is they are kind of finding a balance between the two, because most of the wavelengths that the sun is emitting are green wavelengths. So you would think a plant would absorb green, but it's absorbing the opposite ends of the spectrum. Now there are plants with other pigmentations. We talked about chlorophyll a little bit. That's that green pigmentation that kind of helps with that photosynthesis. Concrete, and then just no leaning on this particular system on the right with the kale and the broccoli, as both are not dressed. But again, we want to feed it to everyone. But welcome to our first hydroponic greenhouse. Now I bring up hydroponics. When I say hydroponics, what do you think of? Water, right? There's a lot of it. But also growing without soil. You don't necessarily need to use soil in order to grow plants, even rooted vegetables. Ask me about it later, it's pretty cool. Air. So plants need both oxygen. Everybody aerated their lawn this year, right? Worms are also very beneficial for getting that air down to the plant's roots. But carbon dioxide is very beneficial for plants. Thankfully, you all are here in the boat ride. It's super beneficial. But we do have enough carbon production in here between all of. And W, we already talked about water. Water is very important for plants. And then N, what do you think N could be? Nutrients, yeah, nutrition. So plants need a variety of different nutrients to help with that photosynthesis. And then the last one is S. It's not soil. Probably only be able to have the kale and the Brussels sprouts. We might be able to incorporate a couple other things, but by them growing vertically, we save on space. Another benefit to it is it's actually a very easy form of pest management. Pests and pathogens will often reside on the ground, so by picking them up off the ground, we can kind of save and combat some of those pests. And it doesn't really like, it more so harms like roads and stuff. It's really big, but it'll cover like the side of a road. Yeah, they're crazy. Pinch the leaves and then release, and then see what happens. Yeah! So Stanley is a type of sensitive plant, or its scientific name is Mimosa pudica. So if you do go to your local store and you say, I'd like a Stanley, they might give you a weird look. But if you go up and say you'd like a sensitive plant, they might be able to help you. Now this is a type of defense mechanism. First and foremost, when Stanley's leaves close up, it doesn't really look as appetizing. Second off, the water that's inside of Stanley's leaves is leaving the leaf. Do a countdown.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Ready?
Not even there.
Yeah!
Wow.
So the benefits of this too is if Stanley was out in the wild, his roots are now exposed, so the rainwater can get down to the roots.
He looks dead.
Yeah, he does look dead, and also again, defense mechanism, doesn't look as appetizing. But what's also cool about this is now you can see the hydroponics. So inside of this pot is peat moss, perlite, mulch. That's a particular technique is a vertigo. Yes, and it was developed by a strawberry farmer. So we've got rosemary. Yeah, rosemary lavender mixture right there. And people will often ask about where the edible flowers go. We have about 1,000 weddings a year with all kinds of fun desserts. That's normally where the edible flowers go. They're on cakes. If you are allergic to cucumbers or don't like cucumbers, you can 100% say no. Please say no. But if you like to try a cucumber, please feel free to do so. We've got plenty in there. Now while I'm washing my hands, I'll pass out some of our potting media so you can kind of see on the ways that we're providing support the plants. Now one that is actually in those stacked pots right now inside of those vertigrows is perlite. If you've ever gotten potting mix and you've seen those little white rocks, that's perlite. Perlite is volcanic rock that has been heated and then puffed up, kind of like popcorn. The reason why it's in potting mix is it will often, it'll provide support, but it also helps with draining the liquid. Now I've got some cucumbers. Again, if you don't like cucumbers, if that's not your jam, you can just pass it along. On humans, I have never had that, but one of my friends, he is actually allergic to cucumbitacin. Scale or warehouse type production techniques. These first two techniques were actually discovered in abandoned warehouses because rats were left behind. This technique right behind me, this is a raft technique. It is a raft of polystyrene floating on a nutrient-filled water solution, and the roots are dipped down into that nutrient solution. And then this technique, you might remember from grade school. Remember how you took the lima beans and you put it in the paper towel and you put it, yeah, it's similar. Yeah.
These are microgreens they used at Food and Wine, saving the chefs $8,000 per week by using these on the foods. Crazy.
Normally on the whole, grow a little bit faster, but as you can see, the taste is still there. The taste is still there. But it's also the practice of the pruning leaves as well. Because by cutting off the leaves, stimulates that nutrient-filled water solution from the top down, and as that nutrient solution goes down, it's at a slight angle. A thin film of nutrient water, hence nutrient-filled technique. So the plant's roots are tangled with the nutrients.
This is lettuce. They harvest every 2 weeks.
Yeah, because each one pallet is done a week. You don't want to keep people on the ride. So you have to think, okay, if I plant this is the same growing period as the crop right next to it. Let's wait a couple of weeks to grow that crop, because then you'll only have one hole and not two. Those are bell peppers. If you smell that, yeah, only if it's needed. So some of the sand that's in here is like the OG sand.
Are you serious?
It is about 5 feet deep, 2 feet up. So we do a really good job at making sure that it is clean as possible. So if you've ever been in here early in the morning, you've probably seen people raking the sand. So we'll lay down all of the tubing first, and then when it's time to actually put the crop in the soil and into the sand, we'll take the plant's roots and put them, depending on the plant, normally what it is it's like the tubing is here and the plant's roots are right underneath.
So it just goes kind of right through.
Yep, and it goes right to where it needs to.
Coffee.
Yes, I that's well, you get to meet them today. So if anybody would like to meet the tilapia, come up here on the platform. But we'll ask you to keep your hands over the tank. Even doing this, I'm very clumsy, I'll drop. So keep your hands over the tank and I will come to you, okay?
Maybe one. Take one more step to the left. Thank you.
All the way over here, my friend. And then take
we want to start growing our plants. Very cool. All right, we're going to do Living with the Land since we just did the tour. Stand by, it's 25 minutes.
Still respect the needs of the land. Some of the answers are being discovered just ahead. To help us maintain these carefully controlled ecosystems, and for your safety, please remain seated in your boat at all times.
Look at there! We're in the big circle.
Scientists from Epcot and the U.S. Department of Agriculture illuminate the wondrous gifts we receive from the land. Join us as we ring in the most bountiful time of the year.
We're inside the circle thing.
Of Southern Italy, family and friends gather once a year to celebrate Virginia with a seven-course seafood dinner. Tilapia, bass, and shrimp, like the ones raised here, using our sustainable water systems, make up just some of the dishes served during this grand meal. Today in the United States, the tradition is known as the Feast of the Seven Fishes. Fishes grown here are common in Florida, but in Northern Europe, where fresh fruit is rare in winter, they're much harder to find, making them an extra special stocking stuffer. Techniques. By recycling water, we can give plants rich nutrients.
This is the lettuce they harvest every 2 to 4 weeks. They harvest it in stages.
Of the land's green gifts.
These are the microgreens they used for food and wine this year, saving the chefs at least $8,000 a week by growing those microgreens right here on property.
Do you like eggnog? You can thank nutmeg for its signature taste. Other spices, like ginger and vanilla, add flavor to a variety of holiday cookies, cakes, and other delights. Will you truly be living with the land?
All right, guys, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We absolutely loved the behind the scenes tour. My kids, like I said, have been asking to do it for years. So when you're on Living with the Land, of course, you're seeing all the plants and all that stuff. The behind the scenes tour kind of gives you a more intricate detail of how they're growing the plants, what they're doing to be more sustainable, and how they're able to make more plants in a smaller space and all that good stuff. So it was totally cool to see. We actually got some tips and tricks for growing our own gardens at home. We do love to grow bell peppers to feed our animals at home. So yeah, that was really fun and exciting. But I got some tidbits for you guys that I thought was really interesting. So all the food and you know the fish and stuff that they have in those greenhouses supply food for only 1% of all of Walt Disney World in terms of feeding humans, right? So 1% of the stuff they grow in there actually comes out here to the parks and resorts and feeds us. A good chunk of the things that they grow in those greenhouses, including the fish, actually go to Animal Kingdom. That's right, to supplement those animals. They were talking about all sorts of things that they grow specifically for the animals, for not only food, but for enrichment. I absolutely love this. They're doing an educational thing, but they're also feeding the animals all at the same time. Now, she did tell us a little question that someone had asked a bit ago, which we did not ask, was what did they do with, say, the tilapia and the fish that they're growing and sustaining in there when we're doing COVID, right? There's no humans to feed or anything about. They actually helped feed the animals at Animal Kingdom. Absolutely love that. They grow it here, they feed the animals over there. And then the microgreens, I talked about a little bit in the video. I thought it was absolutely amazing that they're able to grow those microgreens, which are really expensive, so quickly. It actually saved the food and wine chefs $8,000 a week to feed them with these microgreens. You know, all little touches that they would put on the food that you can order for food and wine. It was saving the chefs $8,000 by getting it grown here in the greenhouses versus buying it outside of the parks. Super duper cool, but I absolutely love the tour. I suggest it for anyone who loves, you know, gardening and growing things and just learning how Disney's able to sustain life through growing vegetables and plants and all sorts of great things. The tour was a little over an hour. Our tour guide, Kelsey, was amazing, and yeah, I would do it again in a heartbeat. My kids were absolutely flabbergasted. Make sure when you do the tour, you either do Living with the Land before or after, because it does kind of come full circle. But that's it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. If the subscribe button is red, please click it, turn it gray, hit the bell icon for notifications, like this video, and comment. Have you done the tour? Did you love it? Or is the tour on your bucket list and you can't wait to do it soon? Let me know in the comments. But as always, guys, mahalo for watching. Nina out. Bye, guys.